live? Is it running? You're good? Okay. What do you got? It's a big announcement, guys. X, Twitter, MeWe. You got the face, okay, yeah. Jin Jin. Sir says a lot. Yep. Yeah, all of them. All right. You should have enough. Hi, I'm Christopher Masante, and I'm on a mission from God. You guys are gonna probably, I don't know. Who in the hell does this guy think he is? I'm just like you, and I'm finding things out, and they're leaving me very uncomfortable. Terry, the Antichrist could be anybody. It's not a it's not one particular person. See, Jesus, when Jesus taught, he explained about for and against. Two sides, literally. For and against. Whoever is not for you is against you. So if you are for Christ, how many people might be against you? A lot. There's a lot of antichrists out there. And the purpose of when you see the antichrist in the book of Revelation, it's nothing to be afraid of. It's something to not become. Because when it says to see the abomination standing in the temple, that's you should be looking in that dirty mirror that Paul was talking about and going, what am I doing? And the whole concept of it is very simple. You can tell who it is that you are actually serving, who your father is, right? Because as you are a son of man, I'm a son of man, because we're sons of Adam. But we have to have faith to be able to choose the right father to serve. So if you have faith, you'll trust in God. If you don't, you'll just kind of go about your own business, right? You become your own God and cutting your own path in your own way. But here's the beauty of it. Um, there is a purpose behind the thing. When the man of sin is revealed, he's revealed to you, and you're like, "Whoa, what am I doing?" And then, hopefully you'll head off into a different zone or something. But if I remember you correctly, you said that evil is a reflection of good. If the Antichrist is the main one is purely evil, that would mean that he has the potential to be just as obedient if Jesus. Yes, exactly. That's exactly. You and I, because of the spirit that is within us, okay? Remember, our spirit that we get breathed into us is that of who? The Lord, right? So we have this picture of the Lord only doing good. And that's because we see certain works as good and evil having messed with the tree, right? The Lord doesn't look at things that way. He just sees it as work. If it's evil, it's something that needs like extra work, right? If it's something, it's like he sees evil as something that's broken and needs to kind of be repaired. And that's how Jews see darkness. That darkness in the world must be repaired. And that's what Jesus was talking about, and especially in the book of John when he says, the darkness doesn't comprehend it. So a person can be dark, but they also have the potential to what? To repent, to turn away from that and to be light. And that same spirit is of the Lord. And if you read Isaiah 45:7, it's kind of troubling because what it says is that the Lord is responsible for both good and evil. You have to pay attention to the way it's worded, though, because evil and darkness are created, right? And light and peace are formed and made, as per that verse. Now go all the way back to the very beginning in Genesis. In the beginning, Elohim created. What's created? Darkness and evil. What's the next verse in the Bible? Now the earth is formless and void, and dark, and that means like now, as in because of. That's the part of the creation process where he just blows it up and obliterates it, and then says, okay, what what can we gain from this darkness that we just made? And that's where we're headed. We're watching our kingdom being ground to pieces. This is that end time thing. I don't know how it was that we got some of the stuff that was written down, like in the book of Daniel. If the Lord said not to write it down, why is it written down? You know what I mean? I struggle with things like that. Did he bend some laws, or are we seeing something that we're supposed to unsee instead of see? And it's sad because every time we see something that's evil, we see it as something we got to destroy. And Jesus was very clear when his disciples came across the man who needed to be healed that was born blind. Remember him? He was born blind. And what did the disciples say? Who sinned, him or his parents? In other words, why is God being mean to him? Why is he in a state of darkness? Why is he on a bad path? Whatever. And Jesus made it clear. He said, it doesn't, he said neither him or his parents sinned. I'll take it past that and say it doesn't matter if he sinned. Our job is to forgive the sins of others, that we would be forgiven, right? Who has rights to forgive sin? The Son of Man. If we don't forgive sin, like sins against us, what happens? We want to revenge, rebel. You see, we're crossing that line, not letting God run the place. And it's hard because in this book, it gets to a point where everything's all at each other. Brother against brother, hand against hand. And it's a mess, right? Can you... Yeah, I can tell you a potion to make a woman love you. It's called obedience. But the problem is guess what? If you find that she might want you to do something that you feel like you shouldn't do, she's going to be very upset with you, and you can forget about any of that love, because it's one of those for or against things. That's what love is. It's for or against. And if that person isn't for you, they're going to end up against you. And there's two fathers that are being served. The sons always do what they see their fathers doing. So if that person leaves you and forsakes you, who's their father? You see what just happened there? Jesus made everything very simple in this world to look at, and things that are evil, just stay away from it. Don't touch it. Avoid it. It'll take care of itself. Trust me. So the only way we could get this Antichrist with a capital A to be saved is if everyone becomes saved, because everyone's saved, how he will get his worship? No. People are worshiping the Antichrist right now. That's what I'm saying. It's for or against. See? For or against. If you are not for God, you're an Antichrist. It's the spirit, what it is. Christ is a spirit. It's not a person. It's a spirit that is either for God or against God. So it's either Christ, a oneness with God to do, to honor our Father in heaven. Like I said, the sons always do what they see their fathers doing. There's bad sons too. And that's how you can tell who their father is. Jesus said it, you'll know them by their works. We took something that's very simple and easy to understand and just turned it into a war. And even the book itself warns us about that, because it talks about the great sword that takes peace from the earth, right? Guess what that sword is? It's the Bible. It's supposed to be a shovel. You're supposed to use it as a farming implement for dirt, us. And instead of hacking people to pieces with it, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what Enoch saw when he saw division, but it had to be something like this. But anyway, Proverbs 16. The plans of the heart belong to man. Sounds bad, doesn't it? But the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. And immediately everybody is, oh, that just means good, because it just split man's heart and a tongue from the Lord. That tongue is a forked tongue made of fire. The plans of the heart belong to man, but the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. Now, what you say is what you do. It's what comes out of a man. So the Lord defines what that is that your heart did. Was it good or was it evil? Right? What was it? What was the intention of it? What was the purpose? He knows, and he judges in that way. All the ways of a man are pure in his own eyes, but the Lord weighs what? The spirit. Which way is that spirit oriented? Is it good or is it evil? And that's where his sovereignty comes in. When it says that all these books talk about everything that he's done, it's not as if our Lord has literally gone out and physically done all of these sins, but he's already calculated them out. He knows what's going to happen. He knows how it's going to go. It's why in 1 Kings 22, he goes to an evil spirit. And he knew who was going to step up. He's not asking questions because he doesn't know the answers. He's asking questions because he does know the answers. When he said, who will go? If a different spirit than the one that he knew would have stepped up, he would have been like, sure. You'll say you'll go. Let's get you a couple more questions in there before I have to take you out. And so that spirit comes forward just answering questions, but there are no questions to the all-knowing. All-knowing doesn't mean up here knowledge. Knowing is like sex. When a man knows a woman, she produces something. God knows what will be produced by every single action that is done, as if he has already done it. And it's been comprised and compacted and put into a book so that we can understand and honor our God, the God of all gods, including you and I, small gods, small g. Yeah, remember when Jesus said that? If he called them gods to whom the word came, well, Jesus was the word and he came to us, so what does that make us? Gods, small g. And if you can't read the scriptures and realize that the God of all gods is then in charge of me and that guy and her and him and they and them, everybody is under this law. And you're dealing it from one side or the other. You can't break it. Commit your work to the Lord, and your plans will be established. Now think about it. The Lord describes good and evil in these promises. So even if you say you're not committing your work to the Lord, but you do something that he said was evil and had a promise associated with it, guess what you just did? You just had your plans established because they were already established by God, our Lord. The Lord has made everything. I like it that it has Eve as the first three words, or the first three, letters in Hebrew are more like words than letters, but yeah. Everything for its purpose, even the wicked for the day of trouble. Now, think of that. How do people say that, right? The wicked are reserved for the day of trouble, right? What does that mean? He built them from the beginning and they're going to hang around all this time until Judgment Day? That's why he made them? No. How can anybody believe such a... That's insanity. That's just pure insanity. We do not serve When it says that the wicked are reserved for the day of judgment, the wicked are the judgment. So can you see how hard it is for us to get out of this predicament? How can you stop the wicked from being wicked? You could listen to that guy, what Jesus said. Feed your enemy, pray for your enemy, clothe your enemy, right? For the Lord has made everything for its purpose, even the wicked for the day of trouble. Everyone, everyone who is arrogant in his heart is an abomination to the Lord. So when you're saying I'm chosen and whatever, that's not a good thing to be all happy about. That requires like a lot of work and diligence, and you better be stepping up to the plate. You don't say I'm saved, I'm redeemed, and redeemed for what? For work. That's what Jesus said. Everyone who is arrogant in his heart is an abomination to the Lord. Be assured, he will not go unpunished. By steadfast love and faithfulness, did you see that? By steadfast love and faithfulness, iniquity is atoned for. And by the fear of the Lord, one turns away from evil. Now, that's interesting because, again, if you place yourself in that spot where I'm the good guy and I don't have to turn away from evil, or I don't have, why, don't put all that on somebody else. Fear of the Lord is a good thing. It's good for me to fear the Lord because, and I rejoice in it, not because I fear the Lord, but because I know if others do, it'll keep them in line. And then once they are in line for a little while, I guess they start to get on that path. They realize the blessing. I don't know. The promises are true. That's all I can tell you. There's no quibbling about these promises. You're going to get both, and whichever one you deserve, whichever one you've sown. I don't know, Terry. It almost, if you want to talk about creation, there's actually two different creation stories for a reason, because it's described as Elohim, the chaos side of God, Leviathan, right? He made Leviathan too. And then there's Levi, who's the other side. So there's going to be two creation stories, because one of them shows creation, which is darkness and evil. But that is like a brief split second. It's just when it says that person, that king or whatever, must remain for just a short while, that's what it's talking about. You're not supposed to have that evil and then go, let's say that just crushing something is evil, but that's how I get dirt. So I go, evil. No, too late. It's dirt now. All the ground is holy. What am I going to do with it? I'm the Lord. I'm going to put my spirit into it. I'm going to make everything from it. Man, beast, everything from dirt and dust. So it's Adam and Eve were one in the creation process. Then they got split apart and separated, okay, by the Lord, because the Lord divides everything. He forms light and creates darkness, makes peace and creates evil, right? And what was there? There was darkness first, and then came Eve, and then evil. When it says in Genesis 1, male and female made them he. That's one thing. Male and female made them he, singular. And called their name Adam. Now look what happened. Man was created, right? But then it said male and female made them. Peace is made. So when the woman and the man are joined together, there should be peace. Light, I form light and I make peace. Adam was, the man was formed, the woman was made from the rib. So it's in Genesis 1, they were as one being, I guess, male and female, they were all as one. And then what happens? Adam is put into a deep sleep. And whenever you get this deep sleep, things are going to get weird. Because it's like the Lord turning off creation so he can reset you and give you a different purpose and even a different name. Okay? That's what happens to Abram, right? The deep sleep. And then he gets what? Because of that deep sleep, he gets separated. And then, well, which seems like it could be an okay, because then he's got comfort, right? Think of the woman as like Lady Wisdom in the Torah even. She's the part of you that makes the decisions. And because she's the decision maker, her decisions can be good or bad, and they come from you, right? It's a way to describe a person, and even a bit of psychology in there if you want to call it. And people with the Bible don't want to hear that, because problems of the mind don't exist. Anybody who's troubled just has an evil spirit, right? I'm going to tell you where my evil spirits are. They're all out there. They don't know how to use a phone, and they stand on soapboxes and collect big paychecks, while some poor guy out here has found a big problem with a book, and it's going to be our ruin. Bet your ass. Look at what this says. When a man's ways please the Lord, he makes even his enemies be at peace with him. So do you think the Lord is pleased about the unrest and the fighting and everything that's going on in the Middle East? I'm going to say no. That's a no-brainer, right? So for that purpose and that reason, can you see the danger that even Israel is in right now? Maybe being in the wrong? And it's just because there's war. Anytime there's war, it's wrong. And God's chosen are supposed to be people of peace. So they're supposed to be teaching people what I'm trying to teach you. That everybody is accountable to our God, this Lord, if you want to call it that. And I say it because to me, God is as solid as a math equation. You can't remove God from the picture. Invisible, doesn't exist, doesn't matter. There's too much stuff out there with his name on it. Churches, buildings, ministries. Okay? He has an existence out there, real or not. And that's what we have to understand, is that the reality is this book describes this place. And it describes what we're going to reap, gain from our actions. And you would think that, okay, well, yeah, sure. Doesn't matter to me. Well, the problem is that the rules are just what they are, right? If you read Romans 2:12-14, paints it squarely in a corner where you can't get away from it. The damn law, everybody is under that thing, whether you want to be or not. Sin is the power of the law. How are you under the law? When you sin. Remember what Paul say? When the law came, sin, then I died. Well, sin is the power of the law. So if you remove the law, does that mean that sin doesn't exist anymore? Yeah, can you see why the Jews laugh at Christians? He fulfilled the law. Oh my God, they're lawless then. What law are they running on? And look what it says right behind it. When a man's ways please the Lord, he makes even his enemies be at peace with him. Okay? And it's like, and you don't make your enemies be at peace with you by destroying them, right? That's not peace. Better is a little with righteousness. In other words, what's the reward? Better is a little with righteousness than great revenues with injustice. I'm telling you, war is not a good thing. The Israel shouldn't even be involved in this. Israel should just be sitting there, and everybody else should be fighting for Israel. It shouldn't be. They should not be raising their own hands. They shouldn't have to do that. Um, that's God's chosen, remember, if you want to think of it that way. But a lot of people are chosen. Even Ishmael was promised a great kingdom. Um, what's misunderstood is what was being referred to there was two very different kingdoms. And Ishmael got the first one, brother against brother, hand against hand. And then hopefully that will transition into laughter. But again, what needs to be taught and understood is this book and these words are not escapable. You can't break what they say. It's just written down and says what will be, and well, you can fight with it, argue it all you want. You can't. You can't. It's a book, right? The word is God. The heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. Which means what? How you're going to get there. Remember, people think that the Lord won't give you something bad. And it's like, because they'll say that, well, the Lord never tempts you with evil. If you've asked for it, He's not tempting you. He's giving you the desires of your heart. And He just might do that in a bad way if that's what it's going to take for you to learn. Okay? That's what the purpose is of evil, is to allow people to be taught. Some people want to walk righteously in the light, godly lives, being kind, love, kindness, fairness, compassion, fruits of the Spirit kind of stuff. And then there's others that they don't care. And you know what? That's perfectly fine too. They're still walking under that law. Paul says it, Romans 2:12-14. Those who sin against the law but don't have the law perish without the law, as if they had the law. So there you go. The heart of a man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. So those steps are going in both directions. It is a highway, remember, through the desert. An oracle is on the lips of a king. His mouth does not sin in judgment. And that is to say, an oracle is on the lips of a king. In other words, the truth, possibly, right? Um, and his mouth doesn't sin by saying how things are, right? And yeah, here you go. See, it continues. It's weird. It's like I read one line and then it steps on the one coming next, right? Where it's okay. His mouth does not sin in judgment, and then what does it say? A just balance, right? And scales are the Lord's. All the weights in the bag are His work. You're weighing now. You're comparing good and evil, and He's got all the weights. I said that to somebody. I said, when we get the Spirit of the Lord, because He forms light, creates darkness, makes peace, creates evil, I, the Lord, do all those things, and that's what we can do. I still say it, and I still will, is that when we got that Spirit, we got the whole bag of tricks. And it's funny that they actually call all the weights in the bag are His. Kind of funny. It is an abomination to kings to do evil, for the throne is established by righteousness. And it's like we think that there's only one righteous cornerstone, and that's true. There's only one righteous cornerstone, but there's two cornerstones that you can build with. And one of them is, even though it's corrupt, has a purpose. It is the corrupt block that will fall apart when you build on it too far. And it's just been designed that way. It's reality. For or against, light, dark, good, evil. Man. It is an abomination to kings to do evil, for the throne is established by righteousness. It'll fall apart otherwise. Righteous lips are the delight of a king. Okay? And righteous just means speaking the truth. You might not have good news, but I want to know what's going on. I don't need to be deceived so that I'm kind of, walking in a neighborhood or on a path that I'm not privy to what the hell's really going on, right? Righteous lips are the delight of a king, and he loves him who speaks what is right. Okay, good or evil. A king's wrath is a messenger of death, and a wise man will appease it. In the light of a king's face, there is life. Remember when it talks about the Son of Man coming and his face shining in full brilliance like the sun, right? That's a king you're looking at right there. In the light of a king's face, there is life, and his favor is like the clouds that bring the spring rain. It's like, to kind of cool you off a little bit, right? To get the blessing. How much better to get wisdom than gold? To get understanding is to be chosen rather than silver. See, now wisdom, now here, this is interesting where they split wisdom and understanding. This is where you can take the 7 spirits of the Lord and you can divide them. This is in Isaiah 11. You can take the 7 spirits of the Lord and you can divide them into groups of 3.5. And you're like, how can you get 3.5? Because you get 2 pairs, 3 pairs, right? And then the last one, the fear of the Lord and the Spirit of the Lord, is the beginning one, and it's the last one. It hems in the other spirits, the other 3 pairs, before and behind. But in Proverbs 16:16. In Proverbs 16:16, thank you, another pattern. How much better to get wisdom than gold? To get understanding is to be chosen rather than silver. Now, what is understanding then? Okay? Wisdom is already completed. It's like knowledge that's been proven, right? It's been proven. It's truth. It's to say, this is going to happen, right? And it could be good or bad. It's just wisdom, right? Just sitting there waiting for you to take advantage of it, right? But what is understanding? Understanding only comes by one way, through works. That's even probably why they call it understanding. You're under God's law and you're doing what he says will happen, and then you begin to gain an awareness of it. But it's through power and might that you do it. That's one of those spirits that gets kind of split. In the 7 spirits, it gets grouped into a pair. The spirit of counsel which means what? Wisdom. I'm going to do what I've been told to do. He's counseled me, I'll just do it. And the spirit of might, which means what? I can do it because he has strengthened me. I have power. You know, you're going to grind through it instead of just saying, why didn't I just look at wisdom and not get involved in any of that? Right? Understanding involves figuring out what good, the difference, what if it's good or evil. It involves work. You're going to have to sift it. The high and even you know it's of works here, understanding, because it says gold is better to take than what? Silver. Silver is the slave's wages. It's why the arms and chest are made of silver, and why you have two hands, right? And why the Jews wrap a snake around their left hand to restrain the left hand, to know that that left hand is the withered hand. That's what Jesus was trying to talk about, was that evil has a purpose too. And you don't need to enforce the law so sternly. Uh, yeah, let's not get into that part, right? The highway of the upright turns aside from evil. Not fighting it, not what? Just says, okay, leave it alone. Whoever guards his way preserves his life. Pride goes before destruction. And what is that? If this person is upright, okay, on this highway, and they turn aside from evil, have they tried to destroy it or harm it or whatever? They're getting away from it. Pride goes before destruction. In other words, I'm going to destroy that evil. And what did Jesus say? Feed, clothe, pray for your enemy. What evil do you have? Who's judging you? You're judging yourself. It is better to be of a lowly spirit with the poor than to divide the spoil with the proud. And it's funny because we call it spoil. And in that case, it would be spoiled. It'd be like the prideful going in and being like, you don't deserve what you got. You're not being godly. You're trouble to us, so we're going to take away even what you do have. Whoever gives thought to the word will discover good. And blessed is he who trusts in the Lord. And that's it. That's where the Son of Man has to have faith in order to serve. If you don't have faith to serve God, you have a spirit of fear. And you can't serve with a spirit of fear. The wise of heart is called discerning, and sweetness of speech increases persuasiveness. And that's the hard part about this, is when we read these, especially in the New Testament, we see some kind of battle going on between Jesus and the Pharisees, right? When he's saying, your father's the devil and whatever. I could say that in a very low-key, matter-of-fact kind of way without any elevated agitation or aggression. Because Jesus actually says that to people. He says, even though you are evil, you know how to give good gifts to your kids, right? And it's funny because, think of this. A person is evil, their father's the devil. They ask for what? An egg. Well, what does he give them? He gives them an egg. If you ask the devil for, if you were asking for things that you weren't getting, would you stick around with that person? No. So it's when the sons always get from the fathers whatever they ask, right? And what you ask then shows which father you are in bed with, I guess, right? Who your master is. Because then you'll be bearing those fruits. You'll have that stuff. All about up here, right? Good sense is a fountain of life to him who has it. But the instruction of fools is folly. The heart of the wise makes his speech judicious and adds persuasiveness to his lips. Gracious words are like a honeycomb, sweetness to the soul and health to the body. There is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death. And that's where they'll use that verse to say that there's no way in hell, I guess, that you could ever do anything right. They use that as like an excuse to come up against you to tell you that your plan is junk. And it's like, no, my plan is all throughout Scripture, and I'm trying to fulfill prophecy. You don't like it because you think you should wait for somebody to come flying out of the sky to do the work. I say we should clean it up and make it nice for when he shows up. There's a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way to death. I don't know. What difference does it make? We're going to return to the dust. So, we see death in there, and all of a sudden it seems like it's bad. That's the only way to leave here. Paul even said it, to die is gain. Okay? If you're here to serve. A worker's appetite works for him. Now, his appetite is his spirit, right? His mouth urges him on. A worthless man plots evil, and his speech is like a scorching fire. Just burning everything down, nothing left. A dishonest man spreads strife, and a whisperer separates close friends. A man of violence entices his neighbor and leads him in a way that is not good. Now, can you see what happened and what the Palestinians did? Right here. They drew Israel into something that is not good, right? A man of violence entices his neighbor and leads him in a way that is not good, brought them into war. Whoever winks his eye plans dishonest things. He who purses his lips brings evil to pass. Kiss from Judas. Gray hair is a crown of glory. I don't have gray up here, really, very much. My hair's dark on top. But here, gray hair is a crown of glory. It is gained in a righteous life. And that's just to say, if you live an unrighteous life, you probably won't live too long in order to have a head full of gray hair. Okay? Whoever is slow to anger is better than the mighty. And he who rules his spirit than he who takes a city. Do you know how huge that is? What's the city? The teaching of peace, Jerusalem. Whoever is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who takes a city. See, now, to take the city would be, when they say you're in Jerusalem, right? If you're in Jerusalem and you see your enemies are surrounded, what does it say? Run to the mountains, which are the leaders of Jerusalem, of the teaching of peace. You should go back to the leaders, to your religious leaders, seeking their guidance and their help. Okay? So if I possess this city, I'm then living like an Orthodox Jew, I guess, right? I'm living every ounce of everything has to be tithed. I got to follow the laws. That's when I'm in the city. That's when I'm in the Jerusalem. It's the teaching of peace, right? Um, and when it says, and he who rules his spirit more so than the person who has the city or the law. And why? Because the spirit determines what truth is. The law can only function by the letter to a certain point. Then the spirit has to take over and go, this law doesn't fit for this purpose right here. There's more going on to this law. I can't go by the letter of the law anymore. The letter of the law says no speeding. And here comes a fire truck or an ambulance or anybody that needs to get there, do what they do quickly. And what do? That must be evil. I got to break them down and stop them. No. There's a purpose and a time for everything to happen. And when you see evil happening, it's time for a blessing. But will you do the work to be the blessing? Right? It's like all of this started on October 7th during the Sukkot. Okay? Do you want to know what the laws are with regards to that feast? Okay? You have to invite everybody. The slave, the free, the sojourner, the stranger, everybody is to be invited. Was everybody invited to that feast? Nope. They sure weren't, were they? And the funny thing is you can't mock God. Our God is not mocked. Every place where we fail on this law, where it says live at peace with all men, as soon as you break out of that mode, I'm sorry, you're fighting against our God. And you're going to have 60 years, 100, maybe 120 if you're lucky, right? He's going to be here. He always has been. He ain't going nowhere. Why do you continue to rebel? Why do you continue to fight? Why do the nations rage? It's just like, to me, it's like stupidity. Because exist or not, I don't care. Oh man, that almost went over the side, man. Better get rid of that. Here's to foolishness coming to an end. We're fighting something that we can't fight. It's a book. Rules are written. Those rules crisscross and they tie together to form a structure. And you can't break the thing apart because it's made of two very different things. It's made of the is and the is not. What do you mean, the is not? The is that is not and yet shall come. Or the is not that is and yet shall come. It's in here. It's in this book. It describes it in little chunks and pieces. And when we read it, we detect prophecy being fulfilled. Why? Because we screwed something up and we're able to see, he said that was going to happen. Every time prophecy is fulfilled, you should almost feel like, in a lot of cases, unless it's to study war no more, you should really feel brokenhearted. Because most of the times, whenever a prophecy is fulfilled, it's because man has screwed up. Do you realize that? Every time. This was fulfilled, that was fulfilled. And ultimately, I can go all the way back to the Garden of Eden and say, yeah, all of it. Because man screwed up. Eve probably could have eaten that stupid apple. Adam, he wasn't supposed to touch it. He knew better. And that's where the problem is, right? We don't know what was on Adam's mind when he did that. Let me ask you something. If you were the last man or the first man on the planet, and you had no other person to have your bloodline go through, a wife, a woman, okay, and she just looking like she's about to depart and go bye-bye, what would you do? Give me a bite. I'm going where you are. You're bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. How can I live as a half a man? We're together in this. And yeah. And then I'd say, well, you said that in the day that I eat of it, I would die. And I would say that there's no greater love than to lay down my life for my brother. So, there. Take that. Was it wrong for me to do that? I don't know. This book's bad, isn't it? Oh, yeah, yeah, you're Palestinian? Oh, my God. Are you in? Oh, man, don't tell me that. Oh, boy. Are you? I hope you say that and you live in like Florida, okay? Or down the street from me. Anywhere but like where all that is going on, man. Oh. Do you know that when it says in Genesis 9:6, it says, and it's weird because you use sixes and nines to make God's number, that 1, 5, you know, uh, the 15. Oh, man. When it says that if man spills man's blood, then by man his blood shall be shed. That verse is not saying giving rights to kill somebody. That verse is saying that man did that, not God, because man was made in the image of God, and we don't kill God. Yeah, we've taken this book and with liberty and pride have found every single stumbling block and twisted it around to turn ourselves into the devils that we say we've conquered, and it's a pity. It's a pity. 2,000 years of bloodshed. When is it going to be enough? Whose side am I on? Ha! You just asked the magic question. You may remember, if I could, I'd pull out my sword so you could see it. But I am not for you or your enemies. I am for the Lord. I'm on nobody's side. I can't pick a side. I'm just here to do what I'm supposed to do. I hope that doesn't bother you. What the hell do you think an angel of the Lord would look like? Wings, maybe? A little harp and bows and arrows to shoot around? Yeah. We're spiritual beings, and sometimes that spirit that's within us, well, it don't belong to us anymore. And it's, I don't know. I just want to say, why me? And go away from me. Please, don't put this on me. I don't want to be a messenger with this kind of news. Who's going to listen to me? Nobody. I can't fly in the clouds. I can't walk on water, though I've already done both. I walked on Lake Geneva in January when the lake was frozen. Egypt is a safe place. God bless you then, man. I'm glad. I don't want to even know anybody that's in harm's way because I feel obligated then. I feel like, you know, if somebody is hurting and needs you, you got to help them. You have to help that person. That's like the Good Samaritan, right? See, Jesus made it very simple because there's two fathers. There's Father God and there's Father of lies, right? And the sons always do what they see their father doing. So that means that the sons of God are doing as God would do. And the sons of perdition are doing as their father would do. But it's, again, Jesus made it very simple. It's an either or situation. So when you see the works of somebody, if you've seen them, you've seen their father. Right? Come here, come here. That squirrel, he runs. He runs. You know how much he would love these honey roasted peanuts? And why? Because he's afraid. Oh, man. Mm. Whoever is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit more so than he who takes a city. The lot is cast into the lap, but its every decision is from the Lord. Now, do you realize what that just said? You can't even roll a set of dice without it being from the Lord. Would you make your decisions based on a set of dice? I do all the time. Whenever I have a choice that is between one good choice and another good choice, and I don't know which choice to choose. And so I say, which one would be the better one? Which one will serve you? Which one will glorify you? Which one will lift you up? And if I can hang on to the hem of your, your garment at the time and be lifted up to, fine. But otherwise, hey, but which one will serve you, Lord? And on that, you can roll the dice. I'll show you. Oh, man. The lots. They always talk. That was an altar and a trinity. Altars can be two different ways. They can lay one way or they can lay the other way. That's one. That's an altar because man is an altar. That's his number. Altar is either serving or it's burning up on top. And I ask questions and I say, what should I do? Do I continue this broadcast? Lock the dice, right? And then I look and I go, well, there's a 1 and a 5. That's God. What's up top? Wind and God. I can do whatever I want. I understand what free will is and what it's for. I just threw the dice down there. It's like, I understand what it's for. You're to be a blessing. Every breath I take, I should just look and go, does anybody need anything? You know? Do you need anything? You all right? Yeah, that's how I feel. And I'm stuck here. Stuck in the middle with you. And I don't know what it is I should do. I drink cheap beer till I fall off my chair. And I'm growing a face all full of this hair. Israelis on the left of me, Palestinians to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. Here today, gone tomorrow. I'm so afraid for you guys. So, I'll put it that way. I'm afraid. Man, her transmission on that car, those tires must just spin so equal because the reason why I'm saying this is my neighbor's car is parked in front of me and I can see where she drove through like some mud where the tire sank in and then kind of painted the sidewall just a little bit past the tread, but only on one side of the tire where she went through. And both of those markings, this is the third day I'm seeing the car, the mud spots are in exact same spots on the tire, like coordinate wise, right? Like they're sitting at about 2 o'clock, both of them. And it's like, I realize all-wheel drive is a thing, but it's like, is there no slipping in between the gears at all? Like, can this thing think a little bit, or is it just like, because that can't be very fuel efficient. There's no purpose for that. All-wheel drive and these kinds of conditions, you're burning fuel for no, without purpose. But I'm a mechanic. Hey, how do you think you grow the best weed? Well, the first thing you want to do is make sure that you're in a place where it's legal to grow. Number one, always the laws of the land, right? Uh, yeah, and then forget it. Then it's Yeah. I don't know. They've done very strange things to weed. It's all about flavors and different tastes, you know. I mean, I use it for medicinal purposes because it helps me with my pain. I wish I could get stoned, man. I haven't been high in a long time. It just doesn't do that to me anymore. I wish I could get stoned. Um, but yeah, now it's like, you know, I had this stuff called lemon treat, and man, it was like pledge. I mean, it was like literally. If you've ever, they have these little candies. They're called lemon heads. Okay, you don't even want a whole box unless you like them. If you like them, you know, go ahead. But one is enough to get the point across. Taste one of those things, and then imagine that. And then it was like, wow, this is just like too lemony. But see, the problem is where other people are. See, other people are burning it. I don't burn it. I consume it. I eat it, or you know, use the oils from it. I, you know, it's so far it hasn't killed me, and I'll choose that over opiates any day. Um, yeah, yeah, definitely. So, oh, New Mexico. Um, One of my friend's brothers lives out there. I don't know if he's still with us, but he now this is back in like the what would have been maybe the late 70s, early 80s, maybe. Um, yeah, he was shipping weed to his brother out here in New York, and I remember looking at it, and you know, I was a kid, so it's just wow, because it's you're not supposed to have it, right? And I just remembered how amazing it was to look at under a magnifying glass and just seeing all the glands on the leaves like up close, like just pumping out goo on, and man, yeah, that was like, uh, I don't know, you didn't even want to burn it or smoke it, right? You just wanted to look at it because it was like, wow, where did this come from? This looks like it's from outer space or something, right? And and it was different than all the garbage junk that we had gotten prior to that, stuff that people compressed into blocks and hid in the frame of a car so they could drive it across from Mexico, or something. And yeah, no, this was actual quality, and somebody actually put some thought into it and everything else, and that was, I don't know, that was my New Mexico experience though. But his name was Joey. I don't know if have it been, do I have knowledge of the forest? Yeah, I try to stay out of the forest. The forest that I'm working on right now is right in front of me, and you are a tree, believe it or not. And I know that I shouldn't touch you, that you have good and evil on you, and I shouldn't judge you or whatever. I need to let you figure it out, unless I can help you to figure it out, and you look like you could use some help. But other than that, no, we're all trees. Most of them have no fruit, though. Just saying. My tree will bear fruit. It's just not the season. It's waiting for fertilize. It's funny, because we read about the one tree that he wanted to cut it down. And what does the guy say? Let me fertilize it for a season and see if anything happens. And what You know, you think of like somebody watering it and then, okay, we'll see what it does, you know. No, it means that that person is going to be assisting and working with and helping that person. Let me be the person to help it, right? Give me the job. I'll do it. Don't cut it down. That's exactly what Moses did when the Lord was upset with the people, you know, coming out of Egypt, right? Don't be upset with them. Let me work with them. You don't want to do that. You know, just try and I don't think the Lord can see his own two sides or something. Because he obviously changes his mind, but then it switches, right? From God or Elohim to Lord, Yahweh. And and then you start seeing particulars about those two different names and the way that they're used. Like the Lord always says your name twice, okay? Two times. Always says it. I got a three. Always says your name twice. Who was called Moses, Moses, right? He was called. I've been working so long on this one. You're going to like it. Keep trying. One day when Moses has grown up, he went out to his people and looked on their burden. Who made you prince and judge over us? When the Lord saw, there it is, and Moses said, hard to search for Moses, Moses. Careful. How cool is that? Exodus 3:3. And Moses said, I will turn aside to see this great sight, why the bush is not burned. No, but see, you're in dry ground. That's what people don't understand when they think of a root out of dry ground. Okay? Um, that was the whole purpose of being in Egypt. Egypt means like oppression or compression, even. Like a pressuring kind of thing, right? That's what the purpose and the reason why Egypt was. The root out of dry ground is to say that, you know, dry ground is ground that doesn't seem to have any water in it. So born of water and spirit. Lacking water, what's the only other thing that's left? Spirit. The spirit will raise you out of the ground. No water needed. So then the Lord saw, and he said, Moses, Moses. And he said, here I am. And who else gets it? Samuel, right? Now this is interesting. Samuel won't answer until he calls his name twice. Watch. We just found something. Now it mentions God. The lamp of God, not Lord, had not yet gone out. And Samson was lying down in the temple of the Lord. Okay? Where the ark of God was. Then the Lord called to Samuel, and he said, here I am. And ran to Eli and said, here I am, for you called me. Okay? Said his name once. But I did not call. Lie down again. So he went and lied down. Then the Lord called to him again, Samuel. And Samuel arose and went to Eli and said, here I am, for you called me. Now Samuel did not Samuel did not know that the Lord and the word of the Lord had not yet been revealed to him. 2 times. Okay? And the Lord called to Samuel again a 3rd time. And he rose and went to Eli and said, here I am, for you called me. And Eli perceived that the Lord was calling the boy. Therefore Eli said to Samuel, go lie down. If he calls you again, speak and say, Lord, speak, Lord, for your servant hears. Right? So Samuel went and lay down in his place, and the Lord came and stood, calling as at the other times, Samuel, Samuel. Woo! Yeah, that's what people want me to do. You know how Methuselah died and then the flood came? Our Lord's going to bless you with the same thing with regards to me. Just remember, I'm hard to talk to when I'm in the ground. But when he's in the ground, you know what's funny? Enoch was translated. It's like, why is that so hard for people to kind of grasp, right? He became the Word, translated. And it's weird because when you are, you don't exist anymore. all that stuff that you thought meant something. Paul was translated. Absolutely, Paul was translated because he wrote off everything that he did prior to, right? Said that, it's not like say it didn't matter, that it didn't happen, wasn't useful. It's to say that it was for a purpose, right? And what did he say? I count them all as a loss for, right? In other words, sacrificed on behalf of. But a sacrifice doesn't mean that you lost something. It means that you gave, you know? Sacrifice doesn't mean you gave something up. It means you gave something towards, I don't know, feed God. Maybe he'll be nice to us. It's us. We need to be nice to ourselves and to each other. Jesus made it too simple. Love each other. And yeah, and then it really bothers me when I talk to people that are, they're saved, filled with the Spirit, and then they're just, you hear things coming out of their mouths that just ain't right. Oh, because that's love. And it's like, well, I don't know, man. What is love, right? How about you don't defile the marriage bedroom and don't worry about Steve and Larry over there. Those trees, they'll wither away in their own time, right? Just leave it alone. I don't know. I'm a shitty Marine, ain't I? You'd think I'd be wanting to go out and dump everybody, taking you down. The big X. I guess maybe because I know what it's about, I see it as stupid. Waste of money. Waste of money, lives, resources, everything. Can you imagine how much money's been spent right now? How much is it going to cost to fix what we've wrecked? Mark of the beast. I hear a clock striking. What the heck was that? What time is it? Anybody know? Wow, that hit 12. Yeah, don't look at your clock and my clocks. My clocks don't run that way. I just wind them up and let them go, and they bang and strike on interesting times. I'll just say that. 12:24. 6 off the day before Christmas Eve. I started my Christian walk on 9/9/9. That's my circumcision date, which was September 9th, 2009. And then when I went to go look at that day on like different calendars, because there's a lot of different calendars in the world. There is, you've got, the Gregorian calendar. You've got a couple different Jewish calendars, depending on how you look at it. And I went to go see what that day was. And it was kind of weird because on the Enoch calendar, 9/9/9 is the 25th day of the 12th month, December 25th, on the Enoch calendar. And 9/9/9 is also the start of the last sacred cycle on the Mayan calendar, which is kind of strange because it's religious, right? And it's time. I got a bad itch on my nose. What does that mean? Somebody's coming? What does that mean when your nose itches? I know they say if your hand itches, you're going to get money. What does it mean when your nose itches? It means I better go get a power supply or this broadcast is going to end. I'll be back. God willing. And if he isn't, pray for me and be happy. Because I ain't coming back ever again. I got some power. Yes, that's right. We'll grab that board, plug it up, and we'll make things right. We'll get some juice, set it loose, and we'll be online. They say, you can do what you want and say what you say, but I know it's got to go. Plug it in, bro, because it's getting low. I got some power. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let's go behind me. Oh, that works nicely. Let's see. And like that. Oh, that's weird. I got 10 likes and 3 people, and I had 13% battery. It was weird. I noticed numbers. Our book, this world, is all numbers. It's funny because there are people that would be so happy to have an IQ like mine. And to me, it just lets me see misery and destruction on the horizon and a bunch of fools. It's an ache. I wish I wish I was never born. My life has not been worth to see this. Hell no. The only reason that I could find any gratification and what I can see on the horizon coming would be retribution and payback for all the crap that I've been through in my life. You know, I mean, and bad, man. Like I'm one of them Catholic Church people. Okay, sorry. Yeah. I just wanted to join their club. You want to join our club, right? Yeah. Well, it's an initiation. Okay. Maybe that's why God endowed me the way he did, so I could look in the past and go, well, that was no big deal. They should have cut the wrapper off like mine. How weird, man. but it's symbolic, and in a weird way, there's a strange symbolism about it. The Jew, the Mohel at 8 years old with the uncircumcised penis in his face. Yeah, people are messed up, man. People are messed up. There's a lot of weird dates happening, like Apopis, that rock. There's weird number of things about my family. Like my mom, she uh, she was born, 6 months and 4 days before me on my birthday, and I was born in '64. Her granddaughters, and she was buried on her birthday. Her granddaughters were born on 226, which is exactly 6 months from my birthday, twin girls, and they were buried on their birthday. I have a sister who is of my stepfather, Samuel, who I helped deliver the news to this city as an 8-year-old boy in a free paper on Christmas Day. And then the last day I would see him would be that day, because the next year they would find him froze to death in his truck, homeless on Christmas Day, 1 year later. But my sister, his daughter, who she hated him because he was a what's that? Rejected her own father and her own father's name and took my name, my father's name, as her last name. He was my stepfather. But that's April 13th. And that is when Apophis is supposed to come back. So it would be for my mom's 100-year anniversary on my sister's birthday. And what's weird is the very first girl that I ever kissed, and they say that, evil is sealed with a kiss, her name was Karen. And her birthday is 4/13 as well, same as my sister. But Karen and I, we sealed our agreement in blood. And what was really weird is when my dad died, he screamed out, "Karen!" And nobody knew who in the hell he was talking about. Ay, ay, ay. Oh, it's going to be hair time. Oh, boy. Did you know sheep are waterproof? They get lanolin on them. And the lanolin, sorry, hairballs. Hair, everywhere hair. Growing out of here and falling out of there. It's even on my back. Tell you about the hair. That shoulder, man. Pow. I don't know if you can hear it, but whenever you see me move that, I'll do this, and then I'll dislocated it. It was a good wreck. That was a really good wreck. Almost went over a cliff. And then wake up. When I wrecked, it was light out. I woke up in the dark, and it was dark, like I'm not talking sunset. And I had a bone. My bone in my arm was sticking out like about this far out of my out of this. Where's that hole? Right here. It's sticking out right here. So right where, well, yeah, that's where the joint is. And it just went, poof, and my hand was like, yeah, it was all, you could tell something wasn't working right, you know? Yeah. And then, so I wake up and I walk home. You know, I had to climb over the guardrail. I wrecked my motorcycle into a guardrail, and like it almost threw me over a cliff. But I come back over the other side and walking home, and immediately, like, I go to my house and my wife isn't there. Who the hell knows where she's at? That's how it works with her. But so I went upstairs to my friend Scotty's house, and his wife opened the door, and when she saw my hand, all, you know, because I can't, obviously, it's not broken now, so I can't imitate, but it was like jacked up, right? And she opens the door and she looks at my hand, you know, she looks at my hand and goes like this. She opens the door and goes, oh, koosh, and she passes out. And Scotty heard me knock, so he comes walking up and he goes, "Who is it?" You know, I hear him say, "Who is it?" as he's coming to the door, and then he sees his wife laying on the floor, and he's like, "Hey, mother!" He was ready to defend her like that. God bless him for that, man. He's a good man. Okay, he got himself in some trouble, but he's a good man. And you know what? He was ready to kick my ass. And he probably would have knocked me from the second story off onto the ground. He would have finished me off. I would have went off a cliff, literally. But I saved him. I saved him later on from a long time in jail because they were trying to frame him in vehicular manslaughter. His wife got killed, and they tried to frame him, and I was able to actually bail him out with my testimony. Um, and I'm going to tell you something. When the DA's screaming at you and trying to, you know, yeah, just tell the truth. Always tell the truth. Don't, anytime you create a lie, you've created a hole in the truth, and then the truth might escape, right? You don't want to do that. Always the truth, no matter how bad it seems, always the truth. And, but he was ready to kick my, and then he saw my hand. He was like, "Oh," and I said, "Dude, I need help, man." And so then, you know, all three of us, we patch each other up, pick Tracy off the floor, and we all head to the hospital, you know, and finally get in touch with my wife, who knows which boyfriend she was running around with. And, yeah. And then the doctor made me a new arm. He healed the withered arm. And he told me, he said, "I don't even know if that thing will ever work again the way it should." He said, what do you do for a living?" And it's weird because it sounds like the book, it sounds like Jonah, right? "What do you do? Who do you serve? What do you do for a living?" And I'm like, "I'm a mechanic. I fix shit." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know, man." The nurse was sitting there at one point. I was getting ready to get the cast taken off. And, you know, I'm like, I said to her, I mentioned, I go, "I can't wait to play my guitar again." And she goes, well, she didn't go any, she ran. She busted into tears and like left. She went, she's like trying to help me with my cast because they're going to change it out or something, you know? And she's like, and she runs off crying. I'm like, whoa, what the hell's wrong with her? You know, I asked the doctor when he comes in, I'm like, whoa, what's wrong? And he says, you know, "Is she okay?" I didn't realize she was crying because I'm saying I want to play my guitar. And she's like, "Buddy, if you saw the freaking x-rays, you ain't doing anything with that hand ever again." And that's what the doctor told me. He says, "What do you do for a living?" And I said, I'm a mechanic, you know. And he goes, "Well, what is that? What do you mean? What do you do?" And I said, "Well, I got to get under cars, lift transmissions and whatever, you know," because he's asked me about lifting stuff. And I'm like, "Yeah." And he says, "Well, you know, I can't say that your hand is ever going to do any of that anymore, man." He says, he said, "I didn't see, and it's funny because he said, I didn't see anything as recognizable bone structure. It was as if he saw shit that he could. It was such a mess that he didn't even know what it was, and so busted up is how he put it. But you know what I'm gonna say? Thank God for Blizzard, man. 'Cause that shit grew back, and I was able to play guitar, and even venture into the music industry and be perused by 3 different record companies for my skills to be contracted. Yeah, yeah, it worked. But that lady, she totally just it sucked. And you want to know what I did immediately? I went home and I was like, "You're telling me I'm not going to be able to use bullshit?" Oh, I was defiant. You want stiff neck? I went home and I took my acoustic guitar and I laid it across my lap because this was in a cast, so it's kind of bent in this way. So I was just laying this hand across there, and I'm fingering the chords this way and plugging it this way, and I'm like, "You ain't taking that away from me. If I can breathe, there's some guy out there who can play guitar with his feet. I'm sure I can pull it off with a busted hand." And that's the kind of person I am. I love you, and I'm going to prove it somehow, some way. You're going to know who I work for and where I'm from and who I serve, and we'll all be the better for it. Praise be to our Lord and His Son. I brought breakfast. Smarties. Oh my God. How many, Lord, what I've contacted every theologian I can think of. I know I haven't contacted everybody. Do I have to contact everybody? Do I got to contact Steve Brown from Key Life? What? What do I got to do? You know, I'll do it. Do I just do it just in case, just because? Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll do like Job, right? Just in case. And then you can yell at me later, but then I'll be doubly blessed. And I already am, because I know that I'm blessed by good and evil. So I'm already doubly blessed. So there, we got that working for us. I see evil as a blessing too. Why is the man sitting there? Who sinned, him or his parents, that he needs help? No, it's a blessing. Help him. That simple. See how easy it is? Is there anybody out there? Hello, hello, hello. Is there anybody in there? Just nod if you can hear me. Is there anyone at home? Come on now. I hear you're feeling down. Well, I can ease your pain, get you on your feet again. There is no pain you are receiving. A distant ship smoke on the horizon. You are only coming through in waves. Your lips move, but I can't hear what you're saying. That's the scriptures. Swollen hand blues. It's like you're trying to do work for God and you're stepping on your own hands. You have to do the works of our God. The Lord, our God. And if you can't do the works that he would find pleasing in the least, one should know that they're doing the other works, the other side, the rest of the Lord. It's amazing how his word it will not go out and return without serving its purpose. And when he promised curses, I guess that word doesn't have to go out, right? But from the going forth of the rebuilding of the temple, okay, the battle begins. And we're looking at a rock and a house we're going to build on it. What a pity. And fighting over it, over dirt. It's beautiful. It's like we're fighting over a meal, eating dust. He prepares a table in front of our enemies. What's on the table? Dust and more dust. Is there a verse like that? I wonder if there's a verse. There should be something in Scripture where it says that the table's covered with dirt. Is there? I don't know. But I'm about to cover my porch in urine, so I'm going to go take care of things. I'll be back. Maybe. You don't know. Some people grab their chests when they have a pain and they're looking for a phone. I look up and smile. When this bad boy goes, I get to get the hell out of here. Tick tock. Tick tock. I don't know. What should we talk about? Let's change gears or something here. I wish there was anything else I wanted to talk about. A little bird just walked up, and I tried to freeze. I think he went. I think he walked around. It's funny because they come walking up the sidewalk. Oh, he's gonna come back. They come around the bushes, because the sidewalk curves. And so they come walking up the sidewalk and they come around the bushes and then they see me and then like, ah! Kind of like you guys do. Yeah, probably the same. Oh no, it's back. What the hell is there? Ah, I'm so tired. How can this end? I guess if I had a purpose and a goal, it would be to impart to mankind that we serve a God that cannot be denied. And the reason why is because in a bilateral fashion, he uses good and evil at the same time, tempting either side. It's like, us going left and right is like just stepping in territory that we shouldn't be in. Well, he's going to listen to his wife. I'm not going to interfere. See, when I'm dying to know what the hell just happened over there. But he was doing something and she just chewed him out. And now he's going to go do something else. And in scripture where you're defiling your neighbor's wife, that's what it's referring to, is it's their law, their woman that they're supposed to listen to, right? If you're a Jew, that's the Torah and Lady Wisdom. But in this case, I really shouldn't interfere, right? I mean, kind of very curious. I can't help it. Because she derailed his plan. There could be greatness getting ready to happen over there, right? A woman gets involved, good shit can happen. But so can bad shit. They're great, aren't they? You can't eat with them, you can't eat without them. Actually, that works, doesn't it? It's going to be this stuff.